What's going on YouTube? This is SP3 Gaming and I am back with a comprehensive breakdown of the 2021 Monster Energy Supercross teams for both the 450 and the 250 Supercross divisions. I wanted to go through and do this video just to give people that may not do the forum readings or the YouTube videos every single day, just so you guys have an idea of who's going to be where coming into this new season. Monster Energy Supercross is going to be returning this coming Saturday at Houston on the newly acquired, or I guess not acquired, they transitioned from NBC Sports Gold to Peacock. So that'll be a little different. After the first round of Supercross, I'm going to do a review of what I thought the coverage was like on Supercross in terms of comparing it to NBC Sports Gold, which is what I've got in the last couple seasons that they've had available. So be on the lookout for that video. I'll probably upload it the day after that, just to give it kind of. I want to see if the break like the on-demand stuff's going to be available, or if it's more of a one and done type deal. I think that's really going to sway me one way or the other of whether or not I like it. But let's get into the breakdown of the teams. We're going to start with the 450 SX class, which surprisingly hasn't had that much of a change with the way the program, like the teams have started. There's been minor changes, but nothing huge in the way of the heavier hitters, minus a couple of them. But we're going to start out with HRC Honda, and not too big of a difference there, but we are going to see Chase Sexton making his Supercross debut in the 450 class. If you watched the Lucas Oil Pro Motocross Championship, he did make his debut out there, so I don't think it's going to be as much of a rookie season for Chase as it was for, say, like Adam or other people who started their 450 campaigns in Supercross. Personally, I think it's a smart decision for Chase to get his feet wet in the 450 outdoors, and I think it's going to pay its dividends for him here in the 450 Supercross campaign, because he's already going to be adjusted to the bike in terms of the power. I mean, he made some mistakes in 450 outdoors, so I think he's going to learn some lessons that he may not have learned prior to just doing testing. But be on the lookout for Chase. I think he's going to be up there. He signed with Alpine Stars over right before the start of the Pro Motocross Series, and then most recently he signed with Monster as a I think a personal sponsor for himself, which is going to be cool. It's going to be kind of weird seeing Red Bull and Monster under the same tent, but I think it should work. As far as his teammate, Ken Roczen's going to be rejoining the team, and he's going to be the oldest guy under the HRC tent. So he's going to be stepping into that mentor role, maybe unknowingly, but everybody that's in the team, the HRC team, is going to be younger than him. So there's going to be the looking up to him that maybe he hasn't had before. Last season he had Justin Brayton, who is a solid, I think, 10 years older than he is. And I think having Ken be in that elder statesman role, so to speak, is going to be good for him. He's going to be solid this season. I think he's going to do better than what he did last year. Moving on to Monster Energy Kawasaki. Absolutely no changes with the team. The only big thing might be is this guy right here, the number 1 of Eli Tomac. I believe he is coming into a contract season, and he's also coming off of losing the Lucas Oil Pro Motocross Championship. So I think this is going to be a really, not a different season, but he's coming off of a super high of winning the Supercross Championship. So that pressure of winning that title is off his back. So I think Tomac is either going to come out swinging, and he's going to be pumped up and fired up, and he's not going to have the pressure of winning the championship. And I think it's either going to be really, really, really good, or it's going to be really bad. I could see both sides of the spectrum. Personally, I'm a huge Eli Tomac fan. I've been following the guy since he was in his 250s, so I want to see the guy win again. Personally, the way I think it's going to play out is I think he's going to come out, defend the title, win the outdoor championship again, and then he's going to ride off into the sunset. If this is a contract season, I think his contract ran through this season, and then he has the option to do a renewal. That's the way I see it playing out in his contract year. But moving on, we're going to be talking about the sophomore of Adam Cianciarulo on that number 9. Rookie season in whole, it went well. He made a run at the 450 Outdoor Championship, and he had a decent Supercross season. I mean, he was up front, he ran up front, and he made mistakes like a lot of the rookies do. Coming into the sophomore season, I think he's going to make a lot less of those mistakes. I think he's going to make it through the entire season without getting hurt, but I think he'll still have those little tip overs and some of the stuff that you see in the second year riders that they don't always come out. They come out stronger than the previous year, but they don't always make that big jump to the title. I think he's going to get wins this year. I think he's going to be on the podium a lot. I think he'll have a couple of mistakes that cause him to slip out of the title hunt a little bit, but I think if he can come out and not make those mistakes, he's going to be right up there for a championship. Now we're going to talk about the newly, quote, acquired Monster Energy Star Racing Yamaha team. So last year, if you remember, this was the factory Yamaha team. Star Racing was the 250 effort, and moving into this 2021 season, they've actually acquired the 450 teams as well. So 110 is going to house 45 riders. I'm just kidding. But they've expanded their team out, and from the interviews that I've seen from the guys that are riding the 450 Star Racing Yamaha, they say it's a lot better. And I mean, that could be a canned response saying that riders say every year, saying, oh yeah, the bike's a lot better, this is better, it corners better, it handles better, whatever it may be. But time will tell. I think after Houston 1, we're going to have a really, really good idea of what's going on in terms of where these guys are at, where everybody's at. But specifically, I'm going to be looking at the Yamaha guys to see if the change in management has helped the 450 guys get over the slump. And most notably, I'm going to be looking at the number 7 of Aaron Plessinger. The reason I'm going to be looking at him is he came up after winning a 250 Supercross championship, and then he won the outdoor title. And then he moved up to the 450s, and a lot like Cooper Webb, he didn't have a solid rookie season on the 450s. And then coming into exactly like Cooper Webb actually, he went into a second season with the 450 Yamaha, and he didn't perform. He was up front a lot more than what he was in the previous season, but he seemed to fade back. So I think this year is going to be a real telltale of what's going on with AP, and I think if the bike is truly better, it's gonna result with AP running up front a little bit more often, winning some heat races, getting into that top 5 a lot more. If not, he's in a contract season. I don't know if with the other guys that are in the 250 class, I don't know if they're gonna boot him out to make room for another rider, or if Aaron will willingly leave if he has another off season that compared to what he's had to in previous seasons. Now it's time to talk about the rookie, Dylan Ferrandis. He's moving up from the 250 class after winning 2 Supercross titles and then winning an outdoor title. So I think this is going to be a decent comparison to see how previous 250 Supercross rookies that have moved up from the Star Racing team that went to the factory team typically struggled really bad in the first year or 2 years that they were on the team. I think this will be a good comparison to compare to like AP's rookie season and Cooper Webb's rookie season. Dylan Ferrandis is coming off of an injury. He had a crash, I think, a couple weeks back, and he broke his hand. So I believe he's back on the bike, and I think he's going to be there for Houston 1. But I don't think he's going to be 100%, so I'm not going to be looking at him too hard. One, because he's a rookie, and you don't typically expect the rookies to win a whole lot in the first season. You see a couple of them do it, but they're typically not the championship contenders. Ryan Dungey, to my memory, is the last rookie to win the Supercross championship in their rookie season. So I think he's going to have a solid year. I think he's going to get hurt midway through the season, I would say, because this is also going to be his first look at the 450 class in terms of, and he's going to be running a longer championship. He's going to be doing a bunch of different stuff that he hasn't had to do before. So I'm looking at him having maybe a little bit more of a rough season, a little bit more of a learning curve than what he's had in the 250s. I think he's going to be solid. I think he's going to get a race win, but I don't think he's going to make it all the way through the season. Moving on to what I would say is a bit of a surprise signing is Malcolm Stewart. He made the jump from the Moto Concepts Racing Honda team to the Monster Energy Star Racing Yamaha, and I couldn't be happier for the guy. I love Mookie. He's always been a very fun personality to watch ride, and just to talk to him. and I think he's going to do well this season. I think he's going to be up. I don't think he's going to be in the title hunt personally, but I could see him getting up there to challenge for podiums and having what would be the best season of his career. I believe the details of his contract are running him into a Supercross only, but I'm not 100%. I didn't read too much into his um his contract signing, so I don't know if it's just Supercross or if it's going to be Supercross and motocross, Supercross and some motocross, or whatever it may be. So I'm excited to see what Mookie does. I think he's going to be still crazy fast in the whoops, and I think he's going to be a lot better than what he's been in previous seasons. All right, moving on. We're going to be looking at the Red Bull KTM team. Similar to the Monster Energy Pro Circuit, wow, jumping the gun. Similar to the Monster Energy Kawasaki team, there's not a whole lot of change. Cooper Webb, the number 2, he's going to be returning to the team for another season, and he's going to be hungrier than I think he was in last season. He had a lot of sickness and injuries and just a lot of overall health issues that he was dealing with last season, and I think it kind of dampened it, especially with COVID and everything that happened. I think it dampened his Supercross championship run, and then he actually ended up. I think he ran the first round of the Lucas Oil Pro Motocross Championship, and then he actually elected, similar to Ken Roczen, he elected to skip out the rest of it. Which last year was a weird year. It was a weird season. It challenged a lot of riders, and personally, I'm going to attribute a lot of what happened last season to a lot of the reason why the riders performed. Some of them performed the way they did. So, um, but Cooper Webb, I think he's going to come back strong. He's, from all I can understand about the testing and everything, he's healthy, so he should be coming out guns blazing for Supercross. So I'm excited to see him and Eli Tomac and a couple of the other guys duke it out for the championship this season. Moving on, the other 450 KTM rider is going to be the number 25 of Marvin Musquin. He's entering, I believe, his 11th or 12th year with KTM as a whole. He's been with KTM from his MX2 days over in the MXGP series all the way through his career. So I believe Marvin's coming into a contract season as well, and he is 30 years old. So I think he's a little bit past his time to win a Supercross championship, but he also missed the entire Supercross season last year. Came back for outdoors, wasn't quite on pace, but he had his moments. So I think the year off, like the Supercross season that he missed, I think there's going to be a little bit of a learning curve for him. But I think it'll be okay in terms of the long-term effects. I think he'll start off a little bit slower, getting back into the groove of Supercross, and then I think the schedule is going to screw him up a little bit too. A lot of the people that were healthy for Supercross last season had to. I mean, obviously they endured a lot of the weird schedule stuff that went on after they came back from COVID. Marvin didn't have that, so he's used to racing these Saturdays, not the Saturday Wednesday. So I think the Saturday Tuesday race, I think that first Tuesday is going to be a little weird for him, and I think he's going to perform a little bit worse than what he typically would. But I could see him; he's going to get used to it, and he's going to be fine. Um, but I think he's going to struggle a little bit in the early season. But he's coming back for another season. I don't know what he's going to do. I think this Supercross season is going to be really telling for what he's going to do with the rest of his career, if he's going to retire at the end of the season or what's going to happen. I know Roger isn't going to want a second, not a second rate rider, but they're not going to want somebody that's not going to be challenging for wins, which Marvin has done in previous years. So I think if for whatever reason Red Bull KTM opts to not re-sign Marvin, I think Marvin retires. All right, so we're moving on to a brand new team, kind of. A brand new bike in the Supercross series at the very least. It's going to be the Troy Lee Designs Red Bull Factory Racing Gas Machine. And they're going to be new to the team this year. If you watched Supercross last season, you know the Troy Lee Designs team was paired with KTM. Once Gas announced that they were coming into the scene, Troy Lee Designs signed with them, and they're going to have both a 250 effort and a 450 effort. But they're just going to be housing one 450 rider, and that's going to be the number 51 of Justin Barcia. He's been with Yamaha the last couple years, and he had his up and downs in the season. He's actually the two-time Supercross opener winner the last 2 seasons, which they've both been in Anaheim. So I think if you guys follow Justin Barsha or Troy Lee Designs on any social media accounts, last night they did some some stuff that confused a lot of people, where they did like a mock-up of A1. So that was pretty entertaining to watch. It was cool to see um, Justin Barsha, the Troy Lee Designs team, having a little bit of fun before the gate drop at Houston. So I think it'll be cool to see another new bike out there. It'll be a little different seeing Justin Barsha on something other than a blue bike, but it'll be cool. With the deal that he signed, he dropped his Arai sponsorship, he dropped his Scott Goggles sponsorship, he had dropped his Alpine Stars geared sponsorship. So he's really thrown himself into the mix, into this program. So I think it'll be a good change for Barsha, being on a different bike. It's it's technically a new bike, but it's owned by KTM. So KTM and Husqvarna have both been successful in Supercross. So I'd expect that that was part of the reason why he signed, and I think it's going to be a good move for him. I think he'll get more than one race win this year. I think he's going to do a lot better with his consistency than what he's done in previous seasons. So I'm excited to see what happens with Barsha. Moving on to probably the biggest changes, I guess, the most shocking, I guess, to me, is with the Rocky Mountain WPS KTM team. And there's some changes. I mean, I'll talk about it a little bit later, but they're going to be working with the number 17 of Joey Savacci. He made his debut a couple years back with the Monster Energy Kawasaki team, moved to Joe Gibbs Racing Suzuki, and then he ended up getting hurt and he missed the entire Supercross season last year. Came back for outdoors, and then I think he hole shotted, or he was up in the top 5 in the first race, and for a good chunk of the race. And then honestly, I don't remember what happened to Joey after that. So Joey's coming into a couple years into the season. From my understanding, he's healthy coming into this season, so I would like to see what he can do on a new bike. If you guys have been following Supercross for a number of years, you'll know that Joey Savacci started his career on a KTM, so a lot of stuff's coming full circle for this guy. Seems like a good dude, but he just hasn't had a lot of the consistency that a lot of the factory teams are looking for in terms of what they're going to do. So, funny story with Joey. He was actually, so with the announcing of the Joe Gibbs Racing team shutting down the shop and not having a Suzuki team to go out and race, Joey Savacci was left without a ride. And there was a lot of rumors that he was going to go to Moto Concepts Racing. And from what I understand, the rumors that I heard is that he was holding out on something happening at the Rocky Mountain KTM team so he could sign with them, and that's obviously what ended up happening. So yeah, excited for Joey to get on a team that was not established, but I never liked the JGR Suzuki team. The kickstart has always been a problem for me with them. They're having the manual kickstart versus the electric kickstart. Suzuki was always a little bit behind the ball with that kind of stuff, so I'm excited to see what Joey can do on a KTM if he comes into the season healthy. He's going to be partnering up with the number 19 of Justin Bogle. He's been with the team for a number of years now, and considering how much he's gotten hurt the previous seasons, I'm a little shocked that he got re-signed, but good on him. He's a good dude. He seems like he's got quite the personality down on the whenever he's doing interviews and stuff like that. So it's good to see a good guy getting a ride like that. Hopefully he too is coming into the season healthy. I would like to see what he can do if he can put a healthy season together. I believe both Justin and Joey signed 1-year contracts, so they're in all technicality they're riding for a ride next year too. So hopefully that they have some good solid seasons and they can put the bike in some consistent finishes, and they're going to be able to re-sign contracts or find another ride next year. All right, moving on to the Rockstar Energy Racing Husqvarna team. Again, not a whole lot of changes with this team, so not too much has changed. They actually ended up re-signing the number 15 of Dean Wilson. The biggest change to the Rockstar Energy Husqvarna team this year is the Rockstar logo. The bike obviously looks a little bit different, but they change that every season. But the Rockstar logo is, revamped, I guess is the right word for it. But Dino is going to be coming back for another year with Rockstar Energy Husqvarna. Again, it seems like a lot of these riders that have gotten hurt in previous seasons are coming into this season healthy. So I'm excited to see what happens with a full gate of a lot of healthy people. So a lot of these guys are previous champions in one sense or another. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens with the riders as they come in healthy. There's going to be a lot more of a stacked field in terms of healthy riders that are going to be there. So um, KTM, or not KTM, Husqvarna has made quite a difference with the team. The bike, um, they've added a lot more black, and it's a weird color scheme to me. Personally, I would have swapped the yellow back fender out there with a white fender. I'm cool. Like I like the black on the front on the main part of the bike, but I don't like this yellow piece. It's too many colors. If they're gonna add yellow, I would add like a little yellow stripe somewhere, but not the entire back fender. But that's just my personal preference. I would have rather had it white, but that's just me. White than yellow. Um, I think it would have matched a little bit better with the white front fender that they've got, and then the black middle part right here. I'm not I don't build my own bike, so I'm sorry for not knowing the parts. I think that's called a shroud, but I'm not 100%. I would have rather had the white front fender, the black part right here in the middle, and then a white black back fender, white or black back fender. I would have been okay with black too. I think that would have looked cool. But yeah, that's pretty much it with Dean Wilson. He's coming into the season healthy, so he's he had a good run in the Salt Lake Series whenever Supercross returned to Salt Lake. So I'm excited to see what happens this season if he can continue to stay healthy. So now we're going to move on to the number 16 of Zach Osborne. He's coming off some pretty major highs from last season. He won the final round of Supercross in Salt Lake last year, and then he won the 450 outdoor title. He was able to dethrone the number one of Eli Tomac. So Tomac as a whole, he had a pretty weird season, off season compared to what he's usually done. So, but congrats to Zach. He absolutely deserved it. He was the best rider outdoors. So, excited to see Zach go through and win a title. I think he's going to come out swinging this year. I think he's going to have a solid season. Um, and yeah, I mean, not a whole lot's going on with him. I believe he's in a contract season. Last thing I heard is he extended his contract through the 2021 season. I would imagine, unless he just doesn't perform at all this season, or unless he has the desire to go somewhere else, I don't see him going anywhere. He's won all of his championships on Husqvarna, so I don't see him going anywhere. But that's just my opinion. Moving on to another elder statesman of the Rockstar Energy Husqvarna team is Jason Anderson. He's been with the team for forever. He's actually technically been with the Rockstar team, not necessarily Husqvarna, but he's been with the same team, I believe, his entire pro career. He's followed Bobby Hewitt to the ends of the earth. It seems like Bobby Hewitt went from Suzuki to KT. Well, back up. He went. So the Rockstar team has shifted hands a bunch of different times. So whenever Jason Anderson was first a part of the team, he was a part of the Rockstar Energy Suzuki team. And then the year that he won his title, he actually came through, and it was Rockstar Energy not Husqvarna, Rockstar Energy KTM. And then they transitioned to the Husqvarna team after they acquired Husqvarna. So Jason Anderson's been with the same team for, I would imagine, maybe minus a couple of years, but I believe he's been with this team his entire career. So, and that's also been with Bobby Hewitt, which Bobby Hewitt separated from Rockstar Energy Husqvarna this last season. So I don't know I think this season's going to really truly show where Jason's heart's at. I don't know if Bobby signed with another team, but I would fair to say it's a fair bet to say that if Bobby Hewitt either starts another team or goes to a different team, I wouldn't be shocked if Jason Anderson switched to whatever that team was. He's got a lot of loyalty with Bobby, and they've become really close. So, but I think Jason Anderson's going to have a solid season this year. He's coming into the season healthy, and I think if he can find that 2018 form, he's going to be solid. He's going to be consistent, and he's going to make sure that he's up there every week. So I would like to see him get up front a little bit more. Last season, he seemed to be like that top 5 guy, which isn't a bad thing by any stretch. But after you win a Supercross championship, typically the standards that the fans see you with tend to go up quite a bit. So I'm excited to see what he does this season. So we're going to be moving on to the Moto Concepts Racing Smart Top Bullfrog Spas Honda. um, and they've actually only retained a single rider. So last year they had Vince Freeze, uh, Malcolm Stewart, which he went to Monster Energy Monster Energy Star Racing Yamaha, and then they had Justin Hill, which he's no longer with the team. So minus Vince Freeze, they've essentially gotten all new riders, and the newest rider is going to be the rookie coming, one of the other rookies coming into the class, Shane McElrath. Um, from my understanding, Shane was actually linked to JGR pretty heavily um, until they closed shop, and then he was kind of stuck trying to find a ride. As far as Shane's rookie season, I think it's going to be kind of the typical rookie season. I think he's going to be strong up front at the beginning of the races, at the beginning of the season. So he's in previous seasons, he's been very, very strong at the beginning of a series, and you typically see him fall back a little bit as the season progresses. So I'm excited to see new blood coming into the team. I'm excited to see new blood coming into the class. But I think as a whole, Shane's going to start out strong, top 10 finishes pretty consistently, and I think he'll start to hang towards the back half of the top 10 as we progress through the season. I don't know how he's been doing on the 450, but he's a workhorse. I'm just going off based off of previous seasons. I think he's going to start off stronger at the beginning of the season, wane off a little bit, and then not necessarily struggle, but I think he's going to have a little bit more of a rough time towards the back half of the season, especially coming in as a rookie. He's not used to running a full 17-round series. I wouldn't be surprised if he got injured at some point in the season. I don't want him to, but I wouldn't. A lot of rookies, they tend to override a little bit and they end up getting hurt. But I would like to see Shane do a little bit more consistent work than what he's done in previous seasons in terms of starting off really, really strong, almost unbeatable in the 250 class, and then finding it hard to be a front runner at the end of the season. And I'll correct myself when I say that last season he finished second in the championship, so he's definitely made very strong improvements compared to what he did last season, or the previous season. So I want to see what Shane can do in this upcoming season. Another new signing is going to be the number 20 of BROC TICKLE. He's come in off of filling in for Aaron Plessinger for 450 Outdoors and at Monster Energy Yamaha. So he was a rookie, and I believe he was actually fully committed to running a privateer effort coming into Supercross. So glad to see Brock after coming back from his suspension. I'm glad he was able to get another ride, so a contracted ride. So it's a good thing for him. I'm excited to see what Brock can do. I want to see what he can do with the full season. He signed the contract a little late, so I think he's still going to be doing a little bit of learning with the bike, but I think he'll be solid. I think he'll be running up towards the front in heat races, and I could see him getting in the mix every once in a while in the main events. The number 37 of Benny Bloss is the next guy I'm going to be talking about. He is, again, another new signing to the team. I believe Benny and Brock were working on something with Husqvarna to run some kind of privateer effort, but I'm not 100% on that. Benny Bloss has been a bit of a weird case for me. He's always been really, really fast, but he can't seem to land a ride. He can't seem... I don't know if it's health or I don't know. He's always seems to be not locked in. Like he's been at like to me, whenever Aaron Plessinger got hurt, to me it made sense to sign Benny over Brock. But they signed Brock probably because he's got a little bit more clout, I guess would be the correct word. But I like Benny. He's always been super fast. He seems like a nice dude off the track, and I'm glad he was able to get a spot secured on a bike. All right, last guy we're going to talk about with the Moto Concepts team is Vince Freeze. This is also one of the guys that I couldn't find a freaking picture of him with his new number on there, so I'm running him on the number 64. He's going to be returning to the team for what is probably like the 15th year he's been with the team. No, but he's been with the team a long time, and he's actually going to be the only guy on the Smart Top team that's going to be riding the 2021 CRF 450. Everybody else is going to be riding the 2020, which is a little weird to me off the at face value. But after doing a little bit of research, I found out that the 2021 Hondas are really hard to get a hold of, and they're really, really hard to find parts for too. So it makes sense that they're a little bit harder to get a hold of. And it makes more sense that they're gonna get the newer riders. They're gonna give the newer riders to the team the older bikes, and they're gonna let the seasoned vet on the team become the test out the new bike and really get it ready. I, from what I understand too, in an interview I heard with Tony Alessi, the team manager, they're going to be running all of the Supercross series, and they're going to be running select outdoor series as well. So I'm curious to see what he's going to run. I would imagine it's going to be more of the California based races, but I'm not 100% sure where Smart Top team runs. So it'll be interesting to see how they do this year. All right. So this team was formerly known as the Penrite Honda. It was an Australian-based team, and they brought it over with Luke Clout, and Justin Brayton actually ran the Penrite Honda over in the Australian Supercross series. So the 450 rider they're going to have on the team is going to be the number 10 of Justin Brayton. He's coming off of Supercross last year, where he had run with the HRC Honda team for Supercross, and then he was, I don't want to say replaced, because I think this contract was that's how they structured the contract. Brayton's been running Supercross only for the last couple years, so HRC Honda signed him for Supercross while Chase defended his 250 title. And then when Justin Brayton steps away from Supercross, they gave his bike, or they gave his position to Chase Sexton. So I would imagine that this muck-off Honda is going to be essentially the same bike that Justin was riding in his Australian Supercross series whenever he's ran it. So they didn't run it this last season to my knowledge, so I'm curious to see how Brayton's going to do without the, because by the time A1 came around, Justin Brayton was just coming off of Supercross in Australia, so he was able to come in what I would call mid-season form at the beginning of the series, and he always ran really well. So I'm curious to see how he's going to run without that lead up of Supercross races coming into Houston. I think he's going to be solid. He's 36 or 37, I think, so he's getting pretty up there in age. But as long as he's still doing what he loves and he's got a ride, I mean, more power to him. Justin Brayton's always been a very down-to-earth guy from the interviews I've seen him in. So I'm excited to see what he does over the course of the season. All right. So with the closing of JGR Suzuki, there was a lot of concern that there wasn't going to be a Suzuki out in the field running for the 2021 season. And thankfully, HEP has kept the team together, and they've actually added the Twisted Tea as one of their main sponsors. So I'm excited to see a Suzuki back out there. I like the way the Suzukis look. I don't like the way that they run. I think they're always a little bit behind the times. But more bikes out there is always better for the sport, in my opinion. So they're going to be running a 3-rider lineup, and they're going to be starting off with the number 28 of Brandon Hartraft. He ran with the Troy Lee Designs KTM 250 team last year, and with Gas acquiring the team, Troy Lee Designs moving to the team. Unfortunately, Brandon was not offered a spot on the 250 team. So he elected to take a 450 spot, which I don't particularly agree with, but if I were in his position and I was offered a ride where I didn't have to pay at every race, and from what I understand, a 450 privateer effort is considerably cheaper than what a 250 effort would be. So I get it to a certain degree. I would have liked to see Brandon stay down in the 250s a little bit longer. He was starting to hit his stride more often in the 250 class, and I think if he would have stayed down for a year or two longer, he could have gotten some wins. I wouldn't say a title, but he would have at least gotten some wins, but more power to him. To move up to the 450 class, it's a ballsy move. I'm excited to see how he's going to do. I believe he's a taller rider too, so I think he'll, at least in terms of the way it looks on the bike, I think it'll work a little bit better for him. But I'm excited to see what Brandon can do. Now we're going to be talking about the Brit, uh, Max Anstey, the number 34. He ran the number 103 last season, and I think he was on HEP last year too. I think. I'm not 100%, so don't quote me on that. But he signed with this team, and I think he's going to have a solid season. He signed, from what I understand, a 1-year contract with HEP, Twisted Tea Suzuki. Um, I think he's going to be, overall, out of the 3 guys on the team, I think he's going to be the highest performer. Brandon Hartraft will probably give him a run for his money every over the course of the season, where he'll probably beat him a couple of times. But I think Max Anstey, he's a little bit more seasoned as a 450 rider, so I think he'll prove to be the best performer on the team. And then the final rider is going to be the 7 Deuce Deuce of ADAMENTICKNAP. Fan favorite. He raps on the side, which is surprisingly not that bad. I'm not too much into rap, but it was decent. It's a lot of the songs are about supercross or motocross, so it's kind of cool to see that side of it. Outside of motocross racing, you don't typically hear about it, and it's cool to see it get brought into that. But he's going to be coming in, running that 7 Deuce Deuce, and I mean, he's a fan favorite. He's going to make a couple main events this year, and I think he's going to be entertaining to watch. So that's really all I got to say about him. All right, so now we're going to move on to the few soon unsigned riders that I was able to find. I didn't do a whole lot of digging into the bigger, like the unsigned riders that weren't like the big names, minus like the obvious Chad Reed, quote unquote, retired. So I don't think he's going to be racing this season, but I don't know. He's not going to be on this list because he was choosing to retire at the end of last season, which now he's somewhat gone back on that because he wants to have that farewell tour in front of the crowd, which I completely understand. But we're going to move on. Probably the big. Uh-oh. Oh, okay. So probably the biggest and most not controversial, but the biggest unsigned rider that I can think of is the number 4 of Blake Baggett. So it's a bit of a strange situation because Blake was signed. He was signed to a 3-year contract with Rockstar, or not Rockstar, Rocky Mountain ATV KTM. He was in the middle of a contract, and I don't know exactly what happened. I've heard the rumors that there was some issues with pay to Baggett, and I don't know if that was like the straw that broke the camel's back for Blake, or what happened. But I know Blake was also dealing with an issue with his wrist, and it wasn't fully healed. So I don't know if he was planning on missing any of Supercross or not, but he was still hurt. But I'm shocked because we're 6 days away from Supercross returning, and the number 4 is not going to be out there. From my understanding, he might show up, but I have not been able to find out anything on what's going on with Blake. There were rumors that he was selling the El Chupacabra Ranch. I don't know if that actually happened or not, but from what I can understand and what I've seen, Blake's not going to be there at Houston. Now, if it's because of an injury, that's fine. I get it. If his wrist isn't healed and he's having issues holding onto the bike, you got to make sure that stuff's healed. But we're all kind of left in the dark here with what's going on with Blake Baggett. If there's any kind of update, please let me know, because from the searching I've done, I haven't been able to find anything other than a pay conflict between him and Rocky Mountain. Star Yamaha's probably got enough bikes that they could field another rider, but but yeah, he's probably the biggest question mark coming into the 2021 season. Is I don't know where he's at and what he's doing. So hopefully Blake Baggett just shows up on a bike. As I can't see Blake taking a fill-in ride, but I don't know the situation, the behind-the-scenes stuff that's going on with Blake. So I hope everything is going all right with him, but hopefully he's able to make a recovery with his wrist if that's what's plaguing him, and he's able to come back for Supercross. All right, the next, probably the last big rider that we've got that's going to be is Justin Hill. And from my understanding, he was not signed, but he was chosen to be a part of the MCR team for the next season. And then something happened, and Justin Hill ended up leaving the team, and Brock TICKLE actually signed a contract to take his place on the team. So again, it's a similar situation to Justin Hill or to Blake Baggett in terms of I don't know what's going on with Justin Hill. Um, since he's come up to the 450s, he won that Supercross title into the 250 class, and it didn't really go where I think he thought it was going to go once he moved up to the 450 class. But he's going to be one of the riders that I'm going to kind of question his motivation when he came to the gate. He seemed to care more about his music, which is fine. Um, but if he would have gotten re-signed to Justin Hill, I remember whenever they announced the team that I was a little shocked that Justin Hill stayed with the team, or that they chose to keep Justin Hill, just because he hasn't put the results there like I thought he would have after winning a Supercross title. But that's just my opinion. If Justin Hill is stepping away from Supercross, kind of like his brother did whenever he stepped away, I mean, I wish him the best of luck. But as of right now, I don't know where Justin Hill is going or if he's going to race Supercross this season. All right, guys. So actually, this ran a little bit longer than what I thought it was going to. So I'm going to split this into two parts. I'm going to do the 250 Supercross teams in the next video. I will upload them probably the same day, but I want to make sure that these videos don't get too long and drawn out, especially since the 250 teams have a little bit a little bit more with rider quantities. So that's going to do it for this video. Be on the lookout for the 2021 250 SX teams coming in the next one. Again, they'll probably get put in the same video or uploaded on the same day, but I want to break them up into two parts so that's not too long of a video. But thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. Who do you think is going to win Supercross? Who do you think is going to get the most wins? I'm planning on doing a video release where I have my predictions, and I'm going to upload that probably a couple of days before Houston as well. Yeah, let me know. Let me know what you think in the comments of team movement. What do you think of Blake Baggett potentially not being there to line up at Houston 1? But yeah, other than that, guys, I will see you guys in the next video. If you liked what I've put out here, if you like me talking about this stuff, if you like this format that I'm using to do these recaps or comprehensive builds so you guys have an understanding of the teams going into the next season, let me know down in the comments, like, subscribe, and let me know what you guys want to see in future videos. But until then, see you in the next one. Bye-bye.